It's Wednesday, and you guys know what that means here on the Louie T Network podcast. You guys will take over the show with social media maneuvers a little bit later on. So go ahead and start lining up your comments using the hashtag LouieTLive. And I want to talk about a couple of things on the show today because some of you out there, you don't understand the concept of how some of this stuff works. Some of the things you say, they're really nasty. And on the other side of those rumors and those comments, they're actually human beings. So we'll talk about all of those things and more on the Louie T Network podcast that starts now. Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to the 217th installment of the Louie T Network podcast. I, of course, am your set man, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. You know what I'm realizing, and this isn't new news. Sleep is important. I'm about to put out a little PSA for y'all, some of y'all that need this message, because I needed this message and I had to give it to myself. Sleep is important. When you get to a certain age, when you're young, sleep isn't as important, and a lot of you are younger, so you don't have to have as much sleep. But as you get older, sleep becomes more and more important. But I want to try to instill this into your mind now as you continue to grow and get older. Don't put sleep on the back burner. I grew up with a mindset of, I can sleep when I'm dead and gone. Sleep is the cousin of death, a wise man once told me. No, you'll be dead a lot sooner if you don't sleep. we make sleep synonymous with the weak. Oh, if you're not up grinding, then you're not hungry enough. You're not getting after it. No, get some damn rest, okay? Sleep is the best thing you can do for your body, for your mental state. Get some sleep. Sometimes, it's funny. I'll be up 2, 3 in the morning. Someone will make a comment. I'll respond immediately. And they're like, what the hell are you doing up, man? Go to sleep. And I'll say to myself, you're right. I need to take my ass to bed. I've been trying to sleep a little bit more lately. And, when I became vegan, I started to be able to focus a lot sharper, even without as much sleep. And I started using that as a crutch to stay up later and try to get more done. And sometimes it feels like there's not enough hours in the day. Trust me, whatever you want to tell yourself is fine. And whatever I wanted to tell myself was cool. But there's no substitute for sleep. Look at it this way. You know how you put your phone on a charging device to recharge the battery? Without it, you're not going to recharge the battery. Same thing sleep does for your body. It recharges your battery. Your phone doesn't function as, crisply as it did when it was at 80%. Now that it's at 17%, things move a little bit slower. It's a little non-responsive. That's how your body is when you don't get enough sleep. You should be getting a minimum of 6 hours of sleep a night. And really, you want that number to be closer to 8. But look, beggars can't be choosers. Start somewhere that is very manageable for you. If you're not getting at least 6 hours of sleep every night, you're doing your body a disservice. And trust me, you are cutting down the amount of years you'll get on the back end if you're not getting enough sleep on the front end. So take it from me, okay? Someone who has not done the best job of providing its body with sleep and rest. Get some sleep. And also, you look older when you don't sleep. You get bags under your eyes. You start to get wrinkles in places that they don't belong yet. Get some rest. And this has been a public service announcement from your man, Louie T. So let's get to the show today. And I want to start with my gym dropping session. You know how it goes. You already know how this goes. Let me drop this gem on your melon. Open your mind. Let your conscience be free. You're now rolling with your man, Louie T8. Let me open you up. Get you thinking a little bit. So I want to talk about rumors. Rumors. Oh, no. Rumors are things that we feed off of as a society. We love a good old-fashioned rumor. Doesn't have to have any validity to it. We take it and we run with it. Just like when we were in high school. Good old-fashioned rumor. And you take it and it takes on a life of its own. And the rumor you heard, 5 hours ago isn't the rumor that's being spread 5 hours later. These things, they grow and they shape and they morph into something totally different. That's why you have to be careful with rumors. And 95% of the time, rumors aren't true. they just simply aren't. They're fun. They're a great story. And if you're looking to conjure up some interest, a great old-fashioned rumor usually will do the trick. But what I want to talk about is the B-sides of rumors. And, I do a segment here on the show from time to time called the B-sides. And what the B-side is the alternate story, or the aftermath, the other side of a major story. Okay, so there's the major headline, and then there's the other part of that story that really no one's focusing in on. That's what I kind of want to do today with rumors, because a lot of times as fans, I'm not going to say we, because I don't do this shit. I'm very specific in making sure that I humanize these players, because a lot of people treat these players like they're something less than a human because they make all of this money. They're not human beings or something. Like, they have feelings, they have families, they care. Okay, so you can't just say random shit about them and think that it doesn't matter. Now, again, they're not hearing what I'm saying about them. They don't know what the hell I'm talking about. They don't know what you're saying. But what I'm saying is there are people with platforms that this information does get out to the person that they're talking to. And so when someone has something to say about it, like, someone had said, and I don't watch any of these shows, so, I don't know what's actually being said. People just bring stuff to my doorstep, and I don't react to it a lot of times because I don't have the information. I didn't watch the show. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what was said unless somebody sends me a link and I check it out, and then I can go from there. But I can make my own, draw my own inferences and opinions from what I just watched. But when things are said about people have feelings, and so when rumors are spread, generally, when those rumors get back to the person that is the subject of the rumor, you're going to get raw emotion out of that person. Like Mike Tomlin, who had this rumor about him and everybody's being linked to this damn USC job. Well, people stop trying to give coaches this job that nobody wants. USC stinks. Like, USC is turning into Tennessee and Florida State and one of these programs that used to be a powerhouse that just is awful now. Nobody's afraid of USC. Yeah, they're still getting talented football players, but it doesn't matter. They stink. Maybe the right coach comes along. Maybe it could put the program back on the map. And maybe that's what they're thinking and why they're trying to aim big for this next coach. But I don't know if that's the case or not. I mean, when you hire Helton, what was his name? Clay Helton or whatever that. When you hire guys like that, I don't really know. Anyway, I digress. The bottom line is Mike Tomlin went off on reporters the other day. And I loved every second of it. First of all, I love Mike Tomlin. There's nothing like an eloquent black man that can articulate his thoughts, that is able to say what he wants to say and say it in a manner that everybody can understand. There's no, mixing of words. There's no confusion. When Mike Tomlin speaks, people listen. It's profound, it's emphatic, and it's to the point. It's succinct. I love it. So when he said yesterday, there isn't a booster check, a blank booster check big enough to get me to come to college football. He said, why would I want to coach college? Like, he said everything that I'm always thinking when it comes to these NFL coaches and these college jobs. Now, again, not everybody is cut from the same cloth. Some guys aren't built like Urban Meyer. I don't think he's built for the NFL game. Some guys aren't built for this life. Nick Saban quickly realized, I'm not built for this anymore. Once upon a time, when he was the defensive coordinator for Bill Belichick with the Cleveland Browns, he was built for the NFL. But once he got a taste of the college football life, he realized, this is great. I just want to see if I can do it. He went to the Dolphins. He realized, I could probably do this. I don't want to do this. This is more of a grind than I really want to take on. I like dealing with kids that are easily, influenced, and I can, sell them a dream and tell them these things. And then I can turn it over and get a new crop of guys, the next 2-3 years. I don't want to get stale. I don't want to try to, sell these 27 and 29 and 35-year-olds on something. It's just a lot harder because they're grown-ass men. Bobby Petrino figured that out quickly as well. So did the old ball coach, Steve Spurrier. The list goes on and on and on. Everyone thinks they can do it until they get there. However, if you're an NFL coach and you're a good one, you're a respected one, you've won in this league, why would you want to go to college? You're making more money as an NFL coach a lot of times, not all the time, but most times you're making more money as an NFL coach. You're dealing with grown men, and this is something that you've done. It's the pinnacle of the sport. College is the JV. The NFL is varsity. Why would you want to go coach at the JV level? That's the reason why college coaches have that itch to see sometimes if they can do it, because college football is the JV. The NFL is the pinnacle of football. It's the varsity. So every now and again, you get that itch if you're a big-time college coach, and some of these guys are comfortable. And if you've got a good quality of life, why would you want to do something else? I don't understand. People are always chasing better sometimes when you've got it really good. Anyway, Mike Tomlin said, I got one of the best jobs in the world, and there's only 32 of them. Why would I want to go coach in college? This is ridiculous. The thing that I loved at the very end, and he said, look, I'm not talking about this anymore. He said, and you never say never, but never. And this all started because of Carson Palmer and him talking in an interview and sort of saying indirectly that Mike Tomlin may be a candidate. Well, Mike Tomlin could be a candidate, but that doesn't mean Mike Tomlin himself is actually interested in the job. USC could have just pegged him as one of 7 guys that they would love to offer this job to, or at least interview for it. Doesn't mean Mike Tomlin himself is interested. USC could have said, hey, we'd love to have Mike Tomlin be our head coach. Well, so would a lot of other teams and college teams and NFL teams. I remember at one point, Washington was intrigued. And there was a rumor about Washington potentially getting Mike Tomlin, and how every Washington fan was like, hey, we'll trade whatever we got to get Mike Tomlin. All these rumors, how they spread. But the thing I love the most at the end is he's got to let you know that this is bullshit, and I don't appreciate this. And I've cut my teeth in this league. I've got winning chops, just like Sean Payton, just like some of these other coaches in the league. You think they're answering questions like this? He said, Sean Payton isn't answering this question. Why aren't you asking him that question? Stop asking me stupid shit. Don't be bringing that weak shit in here. Or as I like to say, from my old 1990s anti-smoking commercial, don't be bringing that weak stuff in here. Get that shit out of here. it'd be one thing if Mike Tomlin was in the midst of 3 losing seasons and they're 1-4 right now, coming off of a bye week and an ugly loss to Geno Smith and the Seattle Seahawks at home. Maybe you could ask him some dumb shit like that. The Steelers are 3-3. They've won 2 straight. They're coming off of a bye week. Why are you asking me this nonsense? We won the division last year. Why are you asking me about USC? Where's the psychological sense in that? And so sometimes we talk about these things, we bring up these rumors, but we don't think about the people on the other side of this thing. He's preparing for a football game. He doesn't need to deal with that stupid shit. How about Tua Tagovailoa? Where a lot of people are acting as if this man is not the starting quarterback of the Miami Dolphins, as if this man is not in his second year of his NFL career. It's got to be tough. It's got to be tough if you're Tua, because people are acting as if the starting quarterback of the Miami Dolphins is Jacoby Brissett, and he's just placeholding for a guy like Deshaun Watson to come in here and take over. No. They just spent the number 5 overall pick in the 2020 NFL draft on Tua Tagovailoa to be their starting quarterback of the future. Did you guys forget that all of a sudden? So now when Tua steps up to a mic, every question is some way, shape, or form aimed at trying to see how he feels about being essentially dismissed and being run out of town with the Deshaun Watson rumors. It's tough. He's like, look, and I don't like when people speak in double negatives, which Tua essentially did. He said, I don't not feel wanted here, which means you do feel wanted or you don't feel wanted. Guess if it's a double negative, it makes it a positive. So he does feel wanted, I guess. That's why I hate double negatives, because they're confusing. But he says, I don't not feel wanted. Okay? He's trying to say he feels like they want him. And that's probably what he should have said. I feel wanted here in Miami. Not, I don't not feel. It kind of feels like, hey, nobody's actually said they don't want me, so I guess I feel wanted. Either way, he's got to feel like shit right now. There's Tua. Because everybody's trying to push him out of town. I don't know if you guys saw, but there was an anonymous, and again, I hate when they do these anonymous things, because I could make up some shit and say an anonymous source in the locker room, a anonymous player said to me that Tua doesn't have the leadership skills of Ryan Fitzpatrick. I could do that because I don't have to reveal my sources. Anybody can say an anonymous source told me. But an anonymous player reportedly told a reporter that he lacks leadership skills. He's not Ryan Fitzpatrick. Ryan Fitzpatrick is 87 years old. So I don't think Justin Herbert is the leader that Philip Rivers was for the Chargers 3 years ago. Why? Because Philip Rivers is 92 years old. That's why. So I don't think he's the leader that Ryan Fitzpatrick is. He hasn't been in the league long enough to be that kind of guy yet. He doesn't have the expansive knowledge of a Ryan Fitzpatrick. And he hasn't been healthy enough. It's hard to lead guys when you're always hurt. But there's a lot going on with that situation. And I always just try to get people to understand these are human beings. Tua's a human being. Like, when you think a player is garbage, you can be upset, but don't attack that person's character. That's a human being. Yeah, if he stinks, you can talk about him being a terrible football player. That's okay. But don't attack that person's character. It's a human being. So when we talk about rumors, there's an A side, and that's the side that everybody usually cares about. And then there's a B side. Urban Meyer to USC. I saw something, and I don't know how true it is, but I don't know if you guys saw that the LSU coach Can't think of his name right now. But we all know the deep voice, the Southern drawl. Go Tigers! Go Tigers! Just won a national championship in 2019, one of the greatest college football seasons ever. And now he's stepping away from the LSU Tigers after the season. So I saw a rumor. I don't know how true this is about why he's stepping away, because it's kind of odd. I know LSU has had their struggles the last couple of years. I blamed it 2020 on COVID. 2021, what's the excuse this year? Ed Orgeron. Thank you, Mike Lowry. Ed Orgeron is deciding to step away from LSU. And, LSU, for all the years they've had talented guys. I mean, Odell Beckham Jr., shame on you if you step to the old dirty backup. Juice Landry. All of these guys that had come before Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase and all these talented guys that played at LSU with Joe Burrow, there was a bunch of talented guys that came before them that really didn't get the shine. DJ Chark, they didn't get the shine they deserved because they didn't have quarterbacks. I think they're going back towards down that road of not having a quarterback, and that's why they're struggling. But again, I digress. I said all of that to say this. I saw a rumor that Ed Orgeron was stepping away from LSU because he was cheating on his wife. And there's like a picture of him in bed with a young chick. Again, I don't know the origins of this. I don't know if there's any validity to it or not. I just know that's hurtful, whether it's true or not. Same with Urban Meyer and people taking pictures. That's that man's business. Stay out of that man's business. But that's not how society works anymore. People are always looking to out somebody because they want a story and they want to be able to take advantage of someone else's plight. But even if that is or isn't true, it's a rumor right now. We can't confirm nor deny it. He hasn't come out and said this is true. It's a rumor. Well, there's a human being on the other side of that rumor, and you could be destroying their life. A lot of people don't know this about Ed Orgeron, but he had a substance problem, alcoholism, and a substance abuse problem. You start spreading rumors about people, their life starts falling apart, and people start falling back on bad old habits. I'm not saying, I'm just saying, be careful with the things you say and things you do, because you don't know how you're impacting someone else. And that's the B side of rumors. Anyway, I digress. Let's transition. And I want to stop being as heavy. I don't want to be as heavy. So let's transition into something a lot lighter, like social media maneuvers. I'm a midday marauder. Let's get to your comments. If you're out there, use the hashtag LouieTLive to have your comment read on the air. If you want to jump to the front of the line, you know that super chats are the way to do that. So let's proceed. We'll go all the way up to the top. And we start with the Hawk TV. First of all, thank you for being the very first to comment in the comment section, Hawk TV. Big shout out to my guy, Hawk TV, as he gets the party started today. Rich, thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, what is up with some of these Washington fans? Man, they forgot we were 3-13 less than 2 calendar years ago, and we don't have a franchise quarterback, but our defense played great on Sunday. It's so hard for people to put things in its proper perspective. I'll give you a great example. You, Rich, I love the point that you just made, and we'll circle back to that because I want to end on a positive note, but I got to get you first. People have a tough time keeping things in its proper perspective. Again, I just said you have to watch what you say and watch what you do. Be careful with the words that you use. They're powerful. You know, growing up, I was once told, sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That is the biggest crock of shit anyone can tell anyone. I don't tell my son that because that's bullshit. Words cut deep. You just said our defense played great, not good, not satisfactory. You just said our defense played great on Sunday. They did not play great. Okay. Watch what you say. Hard for people to take you serious when you make statements like that. Our defense did not play great on Sunday. They played better on Sunday. Aaron Rodgers was 27 of 35 with 3 touchdown passes and no interceptions and like 270 yards or so. That's not a great defensive performance. It's better than what it's been, but don't confuse great with average, which is what the defense was on Sunday. Great is what the Tennessee Titans did to the Kansas City Chiefs, sacking Mahomes 4 times, forcing 2 fumbles and an interception, and giving up 3 points. That's a great defensive performance. Not what we did on Sunday. So again, keep everything in its proper perspective. You were just guilty of not doing that. However, to your point, and I want to end on that positive note that I talked about, you are absolutely 110% spot on. A lot of people don't keep things in its proper perspective. Just a season and a half ago, we were 3-13, and we were begging for someone to come in here and save us. Get rid of the big bad man, Bruce Allen, and bring a coach in here that's going to give us some credibility. Well, we got rid of Bruce. We brought in Ron Rivera. We checked both of those boxes. He won the division at 7-9, and now everyone thinks this guy's a fraud because he said, I need 3 years to turn this thing around. And it'd be nice if I had a franchise quarterback, which he doesn't have a franchise quarterback. And oh, by the way, we're in year 2 of a rebuild, whether fans want to acknowledge this or not. This is a rebuild. Okay. This is a rebuild. We tore this thing down and we tried to build it back up from the ground level. This was a rebuild. They got rid of Ryan Kerrigan and Morgan Moses and veterans that had been here with all of the losing. And they're trying to build this thing back up in a young image of what Ron Rivera thinks this team should look like. It's going to take time. But nobody wants to give more time when they feel like they've already given 20, 25, 30 years. I've given enough time. When is it our time? You got to be patient. And they're not trying to hear that. And I understand. That's why I don't fuss at fans for not wanting to be patient longer. Because they've been patient for a very long time. And they're like, my patience is already run out. When do we get results? But yeah, you have to be able to take that. As a fan, you've got to be able to understand the plight of other fans, especially if you're a part of that fan base. Then, Rich, you know, and you're a lot younger than most of us, so you don't actually know what it's been like for as long as it's been. You know, you just jumped on the scene not too long ago, which is cool because you haven't seen anything but losing either. So you can kind of get a gist of what we're talking about, but you have to be able to understand that this has been going on for damn near 30 years. 20 some odd years under Dan Snyder. So, yeah, it's rough, to say the least. Got a super chat. I'm going to go ahead and take that. It's from my guy, Silver V. Matter of fact, got to give a big ups to my guy, Silver V, for becoming a brand new member of the MOBB. Silver Villain, stand up. You are now officially the newest member of the MOBB. Welcome to the squad. Mob, you know what to do. Show Silver Villains some love. My guy, Silver V, thank you for becoming a brand new member of the MOBB. Glad to have you. Silver V also writes, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. What I learned from last week is this year ain't last year. And a lot of people fail to understand that as well, which is why when you look at the schedule, it's a crapshoot because this year ain't last year. It's the perfect way to say it. This year ain't last year. So the teams you thought were going to be garbage, when you start looking at the schedule and start counting wins and losses, everybody looked at the schedule and said, well, that Chiefs game, that's definitely a loss. Oh, really? They suck right now. The Giants might be able to beat them on Monday night this coming week. Okay? Nothing is what it seems. So This year ain't last year. Everybody's waiting for the other shoe to drop with the Raiders. Oh, they did the same thing last year. This year ain't last year. We'll see. I keep waiting on Washington to turn it up. They did it last year. This year ain't last year. Okay. They might actually just be garbage. Sometimes you have to say that out loud for the people that need to hear it, because a lot of times people just go off of the past, and in certain instances you can do that. As I've said before, past outcomes are indicators of future, well, past happenings or past situations can be viewed and extrapolated as future outcomes. That's how you predict things like the market. When you're talking about football, which is a very volatile sport and unpredictable, basketball is a much more predictable sport. You kind of know what's going to happen. You know the teams that are going to be good. If guys stay healthy, the Lakers are, even though I don't think they're going to win a championship with the group that they have with Russell Westbrook, and LeBron and Russell Westbrook can't be on the same team. That doesn't make any sense. That's not the kind of player you surround LeBron with. He needs shooters. He doesn't need someone that's ball dominant, that can't shoot. But if they're healthy, they're going to make the playoffs because they have really good players. 3 of them, 4 really, even because Carmelo can still score on their team. They're going to make the playoffs. They probably aren't going to win the championship, but it's predictable. They're going to make the playoffs. And there are about 12 to 14 other teams in the NBA that you could say the same thing about. There's 16 playoff spots. And about 14 to 15 of them are probably already spoken for. You pretty much know if this team's healthy, they're going to make the playoffs. Can't do that in baseball. Who thought the San Francisco Giants were going to have the best record in all of baseball this year? Who thought that? Nobody. They were picked to finish in last or second to last in their division before the season started. That kind of thing doesn't happen in the NBA, but that thing happens in the NFL every single year. A team goes from worst to first, and we don't even bat an eye. We're surprised in the moment, like, oh my God, look at Cincinnati. They're 5-2 and leading the AFC North. But after a while, you say, hey, that shit happens every year. Anyway, he says, my Chiefs suck while the Bengals are a playoff team. Washington has a bad defense, and the Cardinals and Dallas are real Super Bowl contenders. And that's the NFL right there. And you just captured the essence of why we love the NFL in one comment. This year ain't last year. Bengals are in first. Chiefs are in last. Washington's defense stinks. The Cardinals and Dallas both are playing good defense, not great. The Cardinals are actually playing exceptional defense. And the Cowboys are playing good enough defense, and their offense is ridiculous, and both are Super Bowl contenders. Wow. Wow is all you can say to that. But that's the NFL, and that's why we love it. Thank you for the super chat. Silver V. Rich writes, we know the deal is done with Watson, but how much more info can the Dolphins get? The deadline is in 6 days. Will this trade go down before the deadline or after the season? I don't think he's getting traded. I've said this already. There was an article that was written yesterday that pretty much alluded to the fact that the Texans are really trying to hype up the market for Watson as if they've got all of these suitors. Like the Panthers already said, hey, look, don't drag us in this shit. We are not interested in Deshaun Watson at this time. Please don't make us a part of your little Ponzi scheme that you're trying to run over there to make all of this draft capital appear. The Dolphins have already given them an offer, and the Dolphins aren't moving. All right. Their owner, Stephen Ross, is known for being this kind of a guy where he draws a line in the sand and says, hey, this is what I'm offering. You can take it or you can leave it. And the Texans are like, that ain't enough. And the Dolphins are like, Smokey's mom, make it enough. And so the Texans have said, okay, I got your shit. I see what you try to do to me. So now the Texans are like over here leaking shit to the press. Hey, got a phone call from the Panthers. Denver Broncos are interested. Eagles have picked up the phone. There are teams interested here. And the Dolphins are like, man, I see right through your bullshit. You go ahead with all of that. But the Panthers said, look, I'm not going to be a part of your charade. We didn't show true interest in making a deal right now. We're good. So it's falling apart at the seams for the Texans. For me, if you really truly want to extract, because they want to be done with this. They really want to wash their hands clean, but they don't want to give him away. But they want this to be somebody else's problem, and they just want to move on. But they're not willing to just move on, because if you really, like, remember when the Steelers were like, okay, this AB shit, enough is enough. They got to the point where they essentially ate money and gave him away for a third-round draft pick because they were like, look, we're done with this shit. We don't have time for this. That's what you do when you're done. They're like, yeah, we got a 26-year-old prime of his career quarterback here. We're done, but we're not that done. We got to get the most we can out of this kid. So they're not going to just give him away. But they want to move on from this as quickly as possible. Make this someone else's problem. So they really want to trade him, but I don't think it's going to happen. Not unless they're willing to take less than what they probably could get for him when the dust settles, smoke clears. And honestly, that's not going to happen until some of these legalities are handled. And that's not going to be until the offseason at the earliest, maybe even next year. I mean, these things, our justice system and our legal system, it moves like at a snail and sloth type pace. So who knows when all of this stuff will be rectified finally. And the Texans are like, look, we're not going to keep paying his ass to sit out. Like, we got to get something for him. If it doesn't happen in the next 6 days, it'll happen in the offseason. I still am a firm believer that it happens in the offseason. I just don't think, I think you can conjure up more interest in the offseason as you get closer to resolution with his situation. I think it becomes, and you get a full offseason with him. He can get into your system, get acclimated. You can kind of really go about the process the right way. You get him now, you're going to try to rush him into the lineup and get him up to speed. And then the commissioner can still step in and say, he's not playing, and now you've traded all this stuff because you thought you were getting him now. Just wait until the season's over. Even if the commissioner steps in, at least he's not playing. You might be trading for him right now, and the commissioner may step in and say, nope, not playing. So I don't think anything's getting done right now, but we'll see. Like, as you mentioned, still 6 days to go. And as I mentioned yesterday, deadlines spur action. So we'll see what happens. Gregory Lightbody writes, I'm not confident in Washington winning Sunday, especially with Judy coming back. You have every right to feel that way. I would have much preferred him not play because he's a speed threat. And I don't like speed threats. And that's part of the reason Denver's offenses look so marginal, is because they lost both of their speed threats in KJ Hamler and Jerry Jeudy. Now one of them is coming back. So I totally get where you're coming from. That doesn't change the way I feel. I still think we're a better team than them, and I think we can show it on Sunday. But again, it does complicate matters with them getting a guy that can run, and we haven't done the best with guys that can run. So totally get where you're coming from. Rich says, I like the sleep talk, especially since I'm young, but why did this come up? It was just on my heart. It was on my brain. I try to kick knowledge every now and again, right? Every so often. I don't want to bog you down with too much deep thought and talk, because a lot of y'all aren't showing up here for that. You're showing up here for football talk, or, something remotely close to that, because, I can go off on a tangent from time to time. But every now and again, I try to infuse a little bit of knowledge, because, again, a wise woman once told me, don't hold on and hoard knowledge. Pass it on, okay? Pass it on. Pay it forward. Give it to somebody else. If you get the game, give it to somebody else. So all the game that I've acquired over the years of my life, I try to give the game to those that are coming up in the game. All the game that I got, I'm going to try to give it to you. Because a lot of this game, I didn't get from somebody else. I had to learn it the hard way. So if I acquire some game and I realize, hey, this is some good shit, somebody else could use this, I try to pass it on. And sleep was one of those things that I thought I was being noble and heroic for not going to sleep. I'm up until 4 a.m. grinding. Yeah. That shit will be there tomorrow when you wake up. Go get your 7 hours of sleep, wake up, and let's get back after it tomorrow. Let's not cut your sleep short because you think this can't wait. No, it'll be there tomorrow. Put it down, pick it back up tomorrow when you get up. Well rested and ready to attack the day with vigor. So that's that. HHC Lunar writes, big game Thursday, biggest Thursday game ever. Let's not be too fast to sensationalize things. That's another thing we like to do in today's day and age. Okay. It's a big game. 7-0 versus 6-1. We don't get those very often on Thursday nights. So granted, I understand that. However, there have been big games, and I don't know, what they were, but there have been big games in the past, I would assume, on Thursday nights. I'll just say this. The Packers in their COVID situation have a chance to derail the excitement for this game. If there's no Devontae Adams and no Allen Lazard for this game, the Packers have zero chance of winning. So while this game is exciting, if those guys aren't back, and this is part of the reason why the Packers need more stuff at receiver, then this game isn't going to have the luster that it's supposed to have. We'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show. Kevin, the PRF, thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Same can be said for Rich. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, isn't your growing family about to turn that sleep faucet off? Which is why I need to get as much of it now as I can. So you're absolutely spot on with that assessment, but I'm not new to the game. I've got kids already, so I know how this works. So I know now. I've never had twins. I've never gone down this road before. This is a new challenge. So somebody's already trying to kick a little game our way. I've already had this discussion with my wife about trying to get the kids on the same feeding and sleeping pattern, but easier said than done. But somebody already said, hey, I've been down the twins road before. Hey, you got to get them on the same sleeping and eating pattern, bro. That's the only way you're really going to come out of this thing alive. So we're going to work towards trying to do that. And I said, hey, look, any other game you got for me, my ears are open. Please slide it my way. But yes, that sleep faucet is about to take a hit. It is about to take a hit, which is why I need to start hoarding as much of it. And this is the thing about sleep. And people don't understand this. And let me say this about sleep one more time, and then we'll move on. Is you don't get, you hear people talk about catching up on sleep. You don't get to catch up on sleep. Like, there's only so much sleep your body is going to allow you to get before it says, all right, get your ass up. Like, if you don't sleep for 2 days, which is really hard to do, but if you don't sleep for 2 days, that doesn't mean you can then sleep for 2 days. Your body's going to I'll take this 10 piece. I'll take 10 hours. All right, let's get up and do something. You just missed out on the opportunity to get 16 hours of sleep. And now you're saying, hey, take this 10 and we just got to move on. So if you don't get 8, let's say you get 3, and then you hop up and you start working, and then you say, hey, I'll get a 2-hour nap and I'm fine. That's good that you got a nap. It helps, but it's not a substitute for shutting it down, at 11 o'clock that night before and getting up 7 the next morning. That's not the substitute for that. It helps, but it's not the most ideal situation. Anyway, HHC Lunar writes, let's be honest, USC is doing all of this to get someone like Luke Fickell. There will be at least one college coach that is thirsty for the come up. That's coaching at a program that's, it's okay, but you're putting them on the map right now. Sort of like Matt Campbell at Iowa State. He should have left. Now he may have no interest in leaving. And I always commend those who are at a school and have no interest in leaving. They get a big contract from that school because they realize if we don't pay our guy, he's going to go elsewhere for greener pastures. Like Porter Moses. All right. In college basketball, I forget the name of the damn school, but they were just in a tournament doing damage again. They did it with Sister Jean. You guys know the school I'm talking about. Can't think of what it's called. But He got a big deal from them. That's home for him. He doesn't want to leave. It's a small, tiny little school. But that's home. He's not looking to leave. I commend people like that. But you always will have those coaches that go somewhere and they're using that program as a stepping stone. And you realize this is not the end all be all for me. Like, this isn't where I envision myself being 5 years from now. And, you know, you'll get guys that think they can turn programs around. That's a big name program with massive boosters and a wealth of talent and a pool of resources to be able to acquire that talent. Let me go there. And if I can resurrect that program, I will be hailed as a king. Someone's going to take that job. The question is who? We'll see. Got a super chat. Let me go ahead and take that. Pilo Dollars. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. And thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Pilo Dollars writes, oh, I see I'm a gold member. Just thought I had to pay each month. Great job, though, Lou. No, thank you for your support. And yes, you're a gold member, so you don't have to pay. And I sent you back your $15 already. Hopefully you got that. Really do appreciate you, though. Pilo Dollars. And don't forget, we're having our squad up meeting on Thursday. So tomorrow night at 7 p. We'll be live. Gold members, please, if you have the time, I've got the wine, and we can chop it up. So 7 o'clock, squad up, gold members. You know what it is. Anyway, thank you for that super chat, Pilo Dollars. Let's see where we left off at. We left off right here. Gregory Lightbody says, do you think Washington needs to draft another offensive tackle? That is something that I think should be on the short list of items that they need to get relatively early next year. Yes, I do think they need to do that. Whether they think Sam Cosmi can make that transition to left tackle next year, and then they need a right tackle, or if they want to keep Sam Cosmi at right tackle and they want to draft the left tackle, I do think that's something they need to explore. It's not a necessity, because if you think Sam Cosmi can make that transition back over to left, which is more natural for him, then because he's shown us he can play tackle in this league at a high level. Now, can he play left tackle? We'll see. But generally, if you can play right tackle, you can play left tackle, because the game has changed. No longer are you getting the best pass rusher just against the left tackle. They're moving guys around. So if you can hold your own on the left side, you should be able to, or on the right side, you should be able to hold your own on the left side. That said, if they decide that he is the left tackle of the future and they switch him over next year, because Charles Leno is only on a 1-year deal, then Cornelius Lucas theoretically could just slide into the right tackle position and you could keep it pushing. You don't have to do anything, but I think they understand that, you know, they probably should invest in another tackle. And I think they will do that. It doesn't have to be a first or even a second round pick. Hell, Sam Cosmi was a second round pick. You might be able to get away with a third round, tackle. I just think if you're going to draft a tackle, the best time to do it is in the first 2 days of the draft. Doesn't have to necessarily be a first round pick. Although if you want something elite, a lot of times you have to do it in the first round. You don't have to. It's not like the quarterback position where you're like, look, if you want a quarterback, you probably should get him in the first round. You start fishing around the second and the third and the fourth, you're probably getting a backup quarterback. You're probably not getting a starter. So it's not like that with tackle. You could get away with a second or a third round tackle and still have that guy turn out to be really good for you. So I do think tackle is another one of those positions that should be on the list of items that they don't necessarily need, but they should want very badly. Let's see. Raul Reddy, thank you for the comment, who writes, what happens if Washington doesn't draft a quarterback or hit a quarterback in the draft next season, and eventually this foundation of the team with the D-line contract start expiring and the window closes? So that's not going to happen. Now, the first part of that is very, very plausible, where they don't get a quarterback. And that's my biggest nightmare, is that we already see what this is at the quarterback position. Like Taylor Heineke's cool, but he's not a starter. And Ryan Fitzpatrick, God bless him, but he's 87 and he just broke his hip. So, like, really, do you really want to go down that road again? No. So we see what the writing on the wall is at the quarterback position. We need a guy. Whether you trade for one in the offseason or you try and get your own in the draft remains to be seen. But if you come, and we came up empty last year, essentially, which is why we went to our backup plan, which was Ryan Fitzpatrick. There may not be a Ryan Fitzpatrick out there this year. Maybe there's a young quarterback that you think maybe we give him another chance, like a Mitchell Trubisky, who signed a 1-year deal in Buffalo. Maybe that's the route they go. Like, that's their plan B this year. Just like, Ryan Fitzpatrick was their plan B last year. Try to get a quarterback in the draft or try to get a quarterback via trade, a veteran that can help us win now. They struck out there. All right. Plan B is to get a veteran so that we have somebody to go into the season with. And plan C was, get the veteran quarterback in free agency and still draft a quarterback. Well, plan C didn't get done. They went with plan B, and that was okay for year 2. For year 3, now people are getting antsy, and we're starting to get close to that time frame of, we need to start doing some damage. And so if you're not doing damage, it needs to be because you drafted a young quarterback and he has to learn and take those hits and the growing pains of getting into the league. And so you might lose some games that maybe you win when that guy has figured it out. But if that's not the reason, if you're just losing games because you don't have the guy at quarterback, now people start to get antsy. Like, what are we doing? We're literally on the hamster wheel. We're running in circles. What are we doing? So that's the scary part about this offseason coming up, is that I don't love the draft class. I don't know if they do or not. And if they don't, I don't want them reaching for a guy. Obviously, I've already said that. And if there's no real options available in free agency, we could be stuck in neutral. That's scary. It really is. But, that's how it goes sometimes. We'll see what happens. A lot of time before then and now, we'll see what happens. As far as the D-line and the contracts expiring and the window closing, these guys are all young. And you can keep all of the ones you want to keep. I mean, there's conceivably, it's probably not going to happen this way, but conceivably, they could keep Montez Sweat, Chase Young, Jonathan Allen, and Daron Payne if they all wanted to, because you still don't have a quarterback that you have to pay. So you could theoretically pay all of those guys. But eventually, that's going to bite you in the ass, because there are other guys you want to pay, like Terry McLaurin, like Cole Holcomb. There are other guys that you like, that you love, that are going to be here and that you want to pay. So I think right now, Daron Payne is the one that probably gets away right now. But then they could say Daron is going to be the cheaper of the two when it comes to, Montez Sweat and Daron Payne. Payne is the cheaper of the two. So you keep Payne, you let Sweat walk, you draft another defensive end, and you keep it pushing. Like, that could easily happen as well. Or they could say, hey, Sweat is the more dominant of the two edge rushers. You keep him, you move on from Chase Young. When his contract expires, you pick up his 5th-year option, and then you draft another guy, you keep it pushing in that direction. More likely than not, they're going to keep Young, and Sweat would be the guy that would probably be moved on from. But again, we don't have to cross that bridge right now. There's plenty of time left before we have to cross those bridges. The only one that is imminent right now is that of Daron Payne. So that's something that they'll have to look into, and we'll find out a little bit more about their thinking and their thought process as to what they decide to do with him. Whether it's like with Jonathan Allen, it's a big deal and we need to get it done, or if they're like, kind of dragging their feet, okay, they're probably going to let him walk. Can't sign everybody. HHC Lunar says, no first-round QB has been treated worse than Tua. I can't confirm nor deny that. I can just tell you, Tua's been treated like shit. Whether it's the Dolphins organization for not standing up for him and kind of just leaving him out to dry. I thought they did him a huge solid by saying, you know what, Ryan Fitzpatrick has this team playing good ball at 3-3, but we're going to roll with Tua, see what we got. And I don't know if he spooked them or what happened when he got in there, but they were like, oh, wait a minute, he's not ready. And they went back to Ryan Fitzpatrick. And they kept using him as like a security blanket. Like, Tua's got a banged up thumb. Hey, Ryan, get in there. Like, Tua's like, I can play. Yeah, nope, your thumb's hurt. Sit down. Come on, Ryan. We need a win here. So Now this year, they're just like kind of letting him kind of just blow in the wind, so to speak. Like, they could put a lot of this to rest by just saying, hey, Tua Tagovailoa is our quarterback. We have no interest, even if they do. Nobody will come back and chastise them for lying to us. People, teams lie all the time. Okay. They could easily put all of this to bed by having Brian Flores come out, just like Mike Tomlin just did. You think anybody's going to ask Mike Tomlin about any more USC rumors or any other team? If Notre Dame fires Brian Kelly and Mike Tomlin's rumored to, you think anybody's going to ask him about that now? After he just said what he just said definitively, the way that he said it? You can put all of these rumors to bed about Tua, but they haven't. They've been passive aggressive. They've kind of beaten around the bush. They've indirectly said Tua's our guy. No. Emphatically. Pound your fist. Be dramatic. Over the top. Tua's our quarterback. We drafted him in the first round last year. Are you crazy? He's the guy. And that would be that. And then you can go behind the scenes through back channels and try to get the Watson deal done, even if that's what you ultimately want to do. But they're just leaving that young man out there in the wind, and now he's got to answer shit because they didn't put it. He shouldn't have to answer these questions. They should put it to bed for him, but they haven't. That's unfortunate. I think I got a super chat. Let's see if I do or not. I do. And it's from Metaphor. Thank you for the super chat, Metaphor. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, need a new guard, part-time IR Brandon, ain't it? And I don't think they really need to do anything there. They've shown us that Wes Schweitzer can get it done. I'm not opposed to drafting another guard, but don't forget there's also Sadiq Charles there, who, if they really move on from Brandon Sheriff, they can say, all right, Sadiq, here's your opportunity. Let's see if you could be our starting right guard. I don't know if you necessarily have to go down that road yet. I mean, you can be proactive. Wes Schweitzer is on the final year of his deal next year. Signed a 3-year deal. Next year will be the 3rd year of that deal. He's been phenomenal. And if I were them, I would want him back if he continues to play the way that he's played. And then obviously you got Eric Flowers, who signed a 3-year deal 2 years ago. So next year will be the last year of his 3-year deal he signed with Miami. So you, in that regard, you may want to draft a guard because you got 2 guys on expiring contracts after next year. But it's not a necessity right now. The guard position is really well taken care of. We've got depth. Like I've talked about on the offensive line, we've got depth on the offensive line. The only position that scares me with the lack of depth, and we've got guys because of the positional flex that can do it, is center. God forbid anything happen to Chase Rouillet. He's been an Iron Man for us, though. He plays just about every week. But that's the one position I get nervous about because generally teams don't have quality backup centers. You got your one guy that you expect to stay healthy, and then that's that. I remember once upon a time when Corey Lichtensteiger got injured, and we were just scrambling and shuffling our papers trying to find a center. And it's rough. I remember when Jay Gruden had an issue at center, and we signed like 3 different dudes to play center for us one year. It's just hard. You just need the center to stay healthy, honestly. Thank you for the super chat, Metaphor. Let's see. All right, we'll take a couple more, and then we will go to our final segment of the show. See where we left off at. Let's go here. Henny Knight writes, how about the NFL giving the middle finger to the people wanting to see Dan Snyder forced out? Our fans have gotten so desperate they actually thought Congress would get something done. I already said this is why I don't spend a lot of time on this. I told you guys nothing was going to come of this. The NFL already made their decision when they gave Daniel Snyder the loan to then buy out the minority owners so that he could have 100% of the Washington football team. When that was done, that showed me that they weren't going to push him out of the league. So this is, the NFL is privately owned. Okay, they can do whatever they want. Congress can't force them to do anything. So they're not being funded by the government. The government can't force them to do anything they don't want to do. So if they say, no, we're not divulging this report, they're not divulging it. And Roger, every year people are going to kill him when he has these public addresses because he's talking in circles. His job isn't to protect the players. His job isn't to protect or do what's in the best interest of the fans. His job is to protect the owners and protect the shield. And he does a hell of a job of taking bullets, which is why he's paid the amount of money he's paid. And he's got the kind of pension that he has and the kind of insurance that he has. The reason the owners are willing to pay him what he makes, which is an ass load of money. Man's like making demands of private jets and things of that nature. The reason he gets all of these things is because he takes the bullets for 32 owners around the league. He's the fall guy, and he's like, I don't mind doing that. For what you're paying me, I do whatever you want me to do. So he goes out there, he says asinine and outlandish things. People chastise him and point and laugh and say, this guy's a dumb, but he's laughing all the way to the bank, and they're not going to do anything that they don't want to do. So at the end of the day, as I've said already, which is why I don't talk about these topics very often, because I already know the outcome. You do too. People get their hopes up because, again, you want something to believe in. You want something to believe in. Daniel Snyder's not going anywhere. And I say this with no malice or ill will intent. If the man doesn't die, he's not going to move on as owner. He's like Al Davis. And look, that's 90% of NFL ownership, is that they're not looking to sell. You know how profitable owning an NFL team is? People are dying to get in the NFL owner business because you can't lose money being an NFL owner. It's impossible. You can be the worst owner, which Daniel Snyder clearly is, and you're still making money hand over fist. So he's not selling this team. Are you crazy? And the league's not going to force him to do it. And Congress can't get involved. The House of Representatives, get out of here. Shoo, get out of here. Let's see. Kevin, the PRF, thank you for being a member of the MOBB writes. I'd say Doug Williams' stint in Tampa is still the worst a quarterback was ever treated in the NFL. He even got done wrong in Washington in 1990. Yeah, my dad always tells me about how Doug was treated. He didn't really appreciate it, but Doug wasn't a rookie either. You know, Doug wasn't a young guy. Doug knew the ropes. He knew how the game went. Doug went through a lot of shit, especially in those days for black quarterbacks. It was a lot different than the climate is now. Guys like Doug Williams paved the way for quarterbacks now to not have to go through what they went through. You know what I'm saying? Warren Moon had to go play in the Canadian Football League because of not getting an opportunity in the NFL right away. And it really was just because of the color of his skin, to be honest with you. So Doug Williams got a raw deal several times. But Tua's a young guy. That's the only difference. Is Tua's young. Doug had been around. Doug was drafted in Tampa in what, like 1979? Doug Williams, and like you said, he led them to the playoffs. Their first playoff berth in franchise history. And yeah, he was done wrong in Tampa, for sure. I agree. And he was out of football. People don't realize he was out of football when Joe went and resurrected his career and brought him to Washington. But Tua's in his second year and he's getting shat on. Like, this is crazy. But it's a different kind of, you know, like what you're talking about is a different type of disrespect, which is probably way worse than what Tua's going through. He's just going through rumors. And you know, whether he's going to be the quarterback of the Dolphins or not, like that, the shit you talking about, that's some life shit. You know what I'm saying? It's totally different. Anyway, I digress. Mike Lowry says, rumors are facts. Panthers say they're not pursuing Watson, even though NFL says he won't be suspended. I think the Panthers are interested. I don't think they're interested right now, but I do think they're interested. If this deal doesn't get done before the deadline, I think the Panthers will seriously be interested come the offseason. And the reason if I'm Houston, the reason I wait is because not only is it a lot more feasible for you to get more come the offseason because you may be closer to resolution with his situation, and you know what you're getting in terms of draft capital for the upcoming year. Again, you don't know what those picks will look like because you're going to get multiple picks, first rounders. You don't know what it's going to look like in 2023 and 2024, but you know what that first round pick will look like in 2022, and that means something. But also, furthermore, I wouldn't want to do it yet because I think the lack of true quarterback prospects that get you excited in the upcoming draft is going to force people to feel like, look, I can't get one of these guys. I don't want one of these dudes. Let me see what the Texans want for Deshaun Watson. I'd rather go that route than draft one of these guys. I think that also might actually up his stock as well. So we'll see. The NFL says he won't be suspended right now. That's easy to say. They're not in a position right now to have to make a decision. So I'm not making a decision right now. So I'm going to tell you, no, he's not going to be suspended right now. I can tell you whatever until he actually gets traded. And then the backlash comes. Then you get protests. Then you get people that say, oh my God, how could they have him on the field? And that's when the NFL says, okay. You got us. Hands up. You got us. He's on the NFI. He's on the commissioner's list. So we'll see what happens. I'll take this last one and then we'll move on. HHC Lunar. Where would you rank the Cowboys among NFC teams? I think they're good, but I have them 5th in the NFC. So I don't think they're better than Tampa, even though they went toe-to-toe with the Buccaneers. I don't think they're better than the Bucs. I don't think they're better than the Rams. I don't think they're better than the Cardinals. They do play the Cardinals, though. We'll see that game, but that's late in the season. Who knows if the Cardinals have anything to play for? It's the second to last week of the season, week 17. Cardinals may not have anything to play for then. They may have the division wrapped up. They may not. They play in a really tough division with the Rams, but they may have already swept the Rams and be up, 2 games, and they may not need that game. So who's to say if they play their players or not come week 17 of the season? But I think the Rams. So I think Bucs, Rams, and Cardinals are all better than them. I don't know if Green Bay is better than them, though. I think they're better than Green Bay. I really do. I think they could beat Green Bay. So I'd put them at 4th right now in the NFC. I think they're better than Green Bay. I'm not. You guys know I'm not high on Green Bay right now. I'm, and maybe they get their defensive guys back, but to me, the problem isn't defense. I've already said that. Like, their defense hasn't been the problem. It's their offense that I'm nervous about because their offense is okay, but it's not like a juggernaut. Like, at any point they could score 40. I don't feel that way about their offense. They don't have any injured players on offense for the most part. Their key injuries are defensively. Now, you don't have to score 40 if your defense is holding the opposition to 17 or 20, which if their defense is able to do that against the Bucs and the Rams and the Cowboys and the Cardinals, then you'll have a chance. So maybe that is where the defense getting stronger and getting guys back healthy helps Green Bay. But I don't think their offense is good enough when it's all said and done, So anyway, I digress. I think they're 4th. If you ask me, that's where I would put them at this current moment. So let's wrap up the show with garbage time. In our Thursday night football look ahead. And it's a dandy. It's a doozy, as someone said in the comment section, the greatest Thursday night game ever. I'm not going that far, but I don't know record-wise we've seen one this good before. So 7-0 versus 6-1, a combined 13-1 aggregate record between the two teams. That's phenomenal. Arizona's at home in this game. The Cardinals defensively seem to be getting better and better each and every single week. And they're doing all of this without Chandler Jones. But man, has Marcus Golden stepped up or what? You know, it's crazy. Like, I look at the Giants and I say, you're still struggling to get pressure on the quarterback. You had Marcus Golden. He got you double-digit sacks when he was in New York, and you just let him walk away? Why? Like, where's the psychological sense in that? I don't understand. And they're still struggling to get pressure on the quarterback. And they had a guy that showed you he can get double-digit sacks. He's tearing it up for the Cardinals right now. Obviously, J.J. Watt is really starting to come into his own. He's starting to get pressure on the quarterback. He's starting to impact games. Defensively, they're gaining confidence. They're gaining confidence defensively, are the Arizona Cardinals. And they're doing this, again, without their best defensive player in Chandler Jones. So I'm starting to, remember, I was disrespectful, very, very disrespectful to the Arizona Cardinals early in the season. I mean, just jab after jab after jab. And I was doing it in a bitch-ass way, too. I'd throw a rock, hide my hand, and look around like, oh, my God, who threw that rock at the Arizona Cardinals? And then, I'd ring their doorbell and I would run. And they'd come to the door and then they'd see nobody. And then I'd laugh. I'm done disrespecting the Arizona Cardinals. They have my respect now. So the team that I'm kind of focusing all my disrespectful energy towards is now the Green Bay Packers. I'm just not sold on them being, I feel like they're a house of cards like I did in 2019. Last year, I was bullish on the Packers. I'm like, this is a Super Bowl caliber football team. They've got everything they need. I thought offensively, Rodgers, again, he won the MVP. He was playing at a phenomenal level. I don't feel that way this year. I think he's playing well, but I feel like you put a quality defense in front of him, you can shut Aaron Rodgers and that offense down. Like, I don't feel like they're, an unstoppable force this year. And I don't really know what has changed. Like, they're not that much different from last year from a talent standpoint. They may even be better with the addition of Randall Cobb, but that's nor here nor there. The bottom line is I just don't feel that same energy from the Packers that I did last year. And defensively, you can move the football on them, but they're banged up, but they're still banged up. Like, they're not getting all their guys back this week. They may get one or two of them back. I think Preston Smith could play this week. There's a chance that Jair Alexander could play. Highly unlikely, but he's eligible to come off of IR this week. He could play. I don't think he will. We'll see. But the bottom line is they don't have enough corners to cover those Cardinals receivers. I mean, we've gone through this exercise already with the Cardinals skill positions and adding Zach Ertz to the mix. It's ridiculous. They've got DeAndre Hopkins, who arguably is the best receiver in all of football. They've got AJ Green. That's like a luxury. He's probably your, second best receiver option on the team, but theoretically speaking, he's probably more like 3, because I think Christian Kirk's a better option than him at this point of his career, but still, damn, AJ Green and Christian Kirk. And then Rondale Moore, they're doing so many creative things with Rondale Moore and getting it in his hands. Now they're using him as a running back in the backfield. It's ridiculous. The abundance of weapons is insane. Now you have Zach Ertz at the tight end position. Not to mention, I love Chase Edmonds out of the backfield. I was so disrespectful of James Conner as a running back. He's the perfect fit for when they need to pound it. I mean, they've got everything. They've got everything for every moment, like every tool. Okay, you need a Phillips head screwdriver? They've got one. You need a flathead? They've got one. You need a monkey wrench? They've got it. Then you need pliers? They've got it. You need one of those nails that just goes straight in the wall, doesn't have any ridges? They've got one of those. You need a hammer? They've got that. They've got every conceivable tool that you'll need in an NFL game. I need 4-minute offense. Here comes James Conner. All right, I need a third down scat back, a guy that can catch it, make you miss in space. I got Chase Edmonds for that. They got Rondale Moore that they can put in that same position as well. They got all receivers. You need a tough possession receiver. They got DeAndre Hopkins for that. You need a guy that can still get vertical but use his size to go up and get it. They got DeAndre Hopkins for that, and they got AJ Green for that. Need AJ to work a little bit of the perimeter. He can do that. You need Christian Kirk to get vertical. You need Rondale Moore can get vertical. Andy Isabella, who they don't even use anymore. It's utterly ridiculous. The Packers don't have an answer. The only answer is to get to Kyler Murray. That's the only answer. Cut off the head of the snake and the body will die. I don't see the Packers being able to do that, though. Hence, and Kyler Murray is making some ridiculous plays. I'm glad you're going to get to watch. A lot of you haven't seen Kyler Murray play this year. He's playing. He's on a new level. He's on a new level. He's playing at such a high level right now that I just see things changing. So he's in the MVP discussion this year. He's playing that well. And if the Packers don't have Devontae Adams and Allen Lazard, this will be an ass whooping. This will be a blowout. Now, if they have those two guys available, and to my knowledge, neither of them actually have COVID, they were in close contact with someone that did. That's the thought process. If that is in fact the case, they may be eligible to play by Thursday, but right now, it's not looking good for the Packers. We'll see. Bottom line is, whether they have those guys or not, I don't think they've got enough to beat the Arizona Cardinals. So I'm going with the Arizona Cardinals in that game. Whether Devontae Adams and those guys play or not, I'm going with the Arizona Cardinals. However, if those guys don't play, this thing could be 34-13. With those guys in the lineup, this could be, 34-27, 34-28. They win a shootout. With those guys, in the lineup, I think it's a competitive game, but the Cardinals are just too good. Without those guys, this could be like that Rams game where they beat the shit out of the Rams and nobody saw it coming. Could be one of those types of games as well. So I'm really looking forward to this game. I hope the Packers have a full staff on offense so that we get compelling football. But we'll see what happens. I digress. So that's going to do it for me, your man, Louie T. Thank you for joining me on the 217th installment of the Louie T Network podcast. Thursday Night Football should be tons of fun. Looking forward to it. Again, hopefully the Packers have their guys, but I think Arizona is just going to be too much for that Green Bay Packers football team. I think that's going to kick off a really good week of football. I really think week 8, Halloween, with all of the ghosts and ghouls and goblins, I think we're going to get some really good football on Halloween. I really do. I think we're going to bounce back from what was a very lackluster week 7. We'll talk more about that on Friday, however. But in the meantime, that's going to do it for me, your man, Louie T. I thank each and every single one of you for joining me. Remember, if you haven't already done so, please do me a huge solid and hit the subscribe button for more great content. Turn on your notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And also be sure to hit the like button on your way out, as that helps this channel grow immensely. I can't thank you guys enough for all of your support. So that's going to do it for me, your man, Louie T. Get off the bench, get in the game, kick it with me, your man, Louie T. Until next time, you guys have a good one. Take care.